When opposition leader Alan Shastney first said that corresponding banking relationships with Saint Lucia were at risk because of alleged corruption of the Citizenship by Investment program, many Saint Lucians panicked. Corresponding banking relationships allow the relatively small banks of places like Saint Lucia to do transactions with bigger banks, simplifying international trade. It affects everything from importing inputs for business and agriculture to sending and receiving money to shopping online.
And I'm always concerned about correspondent banking relations. The truth is, just as credit unions need banks, banks need correspondent banks to trade with the rest of the world.
In the wake of allegations that St. Lucia's banks are on the verge of having their corresponding banking relationships severed because of the CIP controversy, the Bank of St. Lucia was moved to issue a statement calling the allegations baseless and false. The central bank governor was similarly provoked on his visit to St. Lucia last week.
This is an area of high interest and priority focus for us. So as a central bank, we periodically meet with our correspondent banks to discuss with them what they're seeing, if they have any concerns, if there are any issues that we can assist with as a central bank to ensure that our banks continue to have those relations.
Caribbean banks have faced de-risking or the loss of corresponding banking relationships before. During the recession of the late 2000s and later around 2016, some countries in the Caribbean like Jamaica, Suriname, and Belize lost up to 75% of their corresponding banking relationships as larger banks cut ties with them in order to minimize risks to their profits. In the same period, St. Lucia lost less than 25% of its corresponding banking relationships, meaning that even in a high-risk period, most St. Lucian banks were not seen as a high risk to the global financial system.
We have seen improvement in recent years in terms of these relations. As our indigenous banks, for example, have become larger, especially those that bought Canadian operations, we've actually seen they strengthen those corresponding banking relations.
Since then, things have only gotten better.
But the issue, to your question, is really how we continue to reduce the risk profile of CIP programs. And that's one of the reasons why the regulator is so important. Because to the extent that we're able to reduce the risk profile, it will give additional comfort and confidence to our correspondent banks.
The central bank governor did not call stories that St. Lucia might lose its corresponding banking relationships fake news, but he did emphasize that the central bank has a responsibility to ensure that Caribbean banks do not swim into territory that could drown Caribbean businesses and economies.
We are always monitoring that situation carefully. Sometimes it's risk, sometimes it is strategy. A correspondent bank will say, we want to move, like we don't want to take on that risk anymore. We want to do something in a bigger country, less risk, or perceived risk. And so we are constantly monitoring and we're sort of vigilant about that. So I really welcome the decision of our heads to get the regulator established because I think that will help.
For Choice News Now, I'm Jason Seaflay.